Hello, I am Ebony Haywood, and welcome to Bookish. And welcome to our guest today. We have Roger Smith, and he is the author of The Most Unlikely Leader. Okay, that's correct. Okay, The Most Unlikely Leader, An Unbelievable Journey from GED to CEO. Welcome, Roger Smith. How are you?
Th- Thank you, Emily. I am fine. I'm perfect, in fact.
Well, I, I am looking forward to this conversation because it seems like you have an interesting pathway from GED to CEO. So, Roger, why don't we start off with maybe you tell us what do you mean when you say burn all your bridges?
So we have said or we've been told, don't ever burn your bridges.
Mhm.
The reality of it is that when we hit major obstacles in our life, we end up like putting a plan B or an escape hatch. And what happens is we end up giving up on our dreams so easily. So, and I don't mean don't burn, burn your bridges relationships. So you can burn them if you want. But what I'm saying that is that you burn the bridge behind you so that the only path that you can go is forward. There is no plan B. There is no escape hatch. And the only path is forward. And with perseverance, you have a good chance of overcoming the obstacles that get in your way.
Mm.
So don't give yourself any room is basically what I'm saying. Just keep on marching on your journey.
Right, to keep focused because it's almost like you're too comfortable when you know you have some type of plan B.
Right? Yeah, it is. You hit that wall and already your mind's going, well, if this didn't work out, I'll do this. And you're already escaping
Right, yeah,
versus persevering.
right. And so in that perseverance, Roger, there might be some failure, but you just keep going, right? Because I think that's maybe what scares people is I don't have a plan B. What if I fail?
Yeah. So, my philosophy is we have a choice as to whether it's failure or just a bump in the road. So when you hit that obstacle, if you say that's the end of my journey, well, you've decided that's a failure.
Uh-huh.
But if you say, hey, you know what, let me overcome this obstacle, let me go through it, around it, over it, whatever's needed, then as you look back at your journey, you look back and go, well, that was just a bump in the road.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the end. It's only the end if you decide it's the end.
Okay. So what is the power of multiple mentors?
So I'm such a believer in mentors, and fortunately I had three mentors that absolutely changed my life. My stepfather, who actually taught me about sales, taught me how to close, taught me the whole process of sales. The founder of the company that I eventually became CEO, taught me about the social injustices of the world and about being patient and about looking for the best in people. And then the CEO of the holding company taught me really valuable lessons. Said, first of all, nothing's as good as it seems, and nothing's as bad as it seems.
Mm.
And for me, that was so important because my life was these highs, these lows, and it just kind of evened out. He also taught me that when you motivate people, use positive emotion to motivate, but when it's negative, just use data. And it
Mm.
makes such a big difference on trying to get over some of those um, some of the negative parts in it. And then the other thing he taught me was, respond, don't react.
Mm-hmm.
And believe me, I was a reactor. I was that one putting out fires.
Mm-hmm.
That old saying, count to 10. Well, that was not me. And once I learned how to take a step back and look at the total picture, it really changed the way that I responded to everything.
Hmm.
So without these mentors, I don't think I ever would have been the leader that I became, found the success that I found. So it's important.
Yeah. So with the multiple mentors, you get you kind of get more of a well-rounded kind of perspective of whatever it is that you are learning, because you have all these different all these different people with different experiences who are offering their.
Correct.
Okay, yeah,
Correct. It's aggregate. It's not like, oh, well, I had one mentor, I'll throw that out now what I learned. No, you just keep on adding to it.
right, yeah,
So
that's great.
yeah, knowledge is power. It's real important.
That's so true. Yes, knowledge is power. I actually learned that from this cartoon in the I think it was really popular in the 70s, but I wasn't even born really till like 79. But so in the 80s it was popular. It was called Schoolhouse Rock. And I
Uh-huh.
think it opened with like knowledge is power. That was somewhere in the opening song. I was like,
That's so funny, Ebony.
uh, so Roger, tell us, what are the four characteristics of a leader?
So I think the first characteristic is that leaders are visionary. They see further than the people that they're leading. And so it's your people look up to you to have these big dreams. I always said, however big you're thinking isn't big enough. And
Mm,
so leaders can see further. They can see the dream out there. But unless people follow them, you're not getting any place. You're never going to achieve the dream. So you've got to be able to have influence. And influence you get from two things. Number one is getting results. If I ask Ebony, if I ask you to follow me, but I keep on getting bad results, after a while you're going, nah, I don't think this is the guy I'm following.
right.
The second part is that you really need to know that I care about you, that I care about you, that I care about your family, that I care about your success. Not because of how it's going to make me look or what it's going to do for me, but that I genuinely care for you. And if I get results and I genuinely care about you, then you're going to follow me, and hopefully together we're going to achieve those dreams.
Hmm.
Third and fourth are kind of connected, which is you got to have strong systems. You have to have strong systems in place that even if you were out of the picture, that the systems would carry themselves. And most importantly, you have to be willing to inspect your systems. In other words, don't put a system in that you're not willing to inspect. And people are always going to throw things in your face. They're always going to go, oh, you don't trust me? No, it has nothing to do with trust. It has to do with this is a system that I put in play, and I'm going to inspect it to make sure that it stays in play.
Hmm.
And I think those four things are key in leadership.
I think a lot of people overlook the systems part.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they do. And it's really, really important.
yeah,
Really
because
important. Because
it's the
otherwise,
glue that holds everything together.
you're right. Otherwise, you're floundering around, you
Right.
know? Yeah.
That's great advice. So, how do you make failure just a bump in the road?
So that's kind of what we talked about before, Ebony. It's like I said, make a decision to 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 just keep on going on your journey and not to quit, not to fail. People are so scared of failure. And if you just understand that, listen, if you made the wrong decision, make a new one.
Mhm,
You're not married to it. You don't have to live and die by that decision. We
mhm,
make wrong decisions all the time.
mhm.
It only makes it even worse when you just keep on following down the road of the wrong decision. So don't be married to it. Just if it's wrong, make a new one and continue on your path, continue on your journey.
Mm, mhm.
And like I said, when you look back at those obstacles and the struggles that you had to overcome, like I said, there'll be just bumps in the road. And there'll be new bumps in the road
Yeah,
going forward, but that's life.
Hmm. I was once talking to a psychologist who said it's instead of thinking of failure as failure and calling it failure, just think of it as a particular outcome. Like I tried this and I got this outcome. So let me just try something different for a different outcome.
Yeah.
That word failure has is just so it's so convoluted with all these connotations and of just complete
Yes.
like you're a loser and it doesn't
Yeah.
help you mentally.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, John Maxwell wrote, the book Failing Forward,
Mhm.
which was so
Yeah,
great. Talks about it though.
yeah. So, what do you think was the key from going to, I love this, going from drug addict, homeless, high school dropout to CEO?
So I think it's two things. One is that, it takes a lot of energy to be an addict. I mean, I was a functioning addict for 20 years. It takes a lot of energy to to fulfill that addiction. When you get clean, if you could take all that negative energy that you were using and move it into a positive, productive form, oh my goodness, it is crazy. It is crazy how productive you can be. So, number one, it's kind of make sure that you're moving the energy. And then, listen, I always subscribe to the philosophy that, if it was easy, everybody would have it. And so I understood there was just a lot of things that I was going to have to work harder at it than other people. I wasn't a natural born salesperson. I wasn't a natural born leader. I sure as heck wasn't a natural born CEO. It was all learned behavior. And I was willing to work really, really, really hard. And most importantly, to persevere through the tough times to be able to finally reach that success.
Wow. Yeah. So it's basically everything that you talked about before. It's putting all of that wisdom in place. It's not having. I mean, did you have an exit plan when you were trying to go from, let's say, homeless to, or when you were homeless and you wanted to exit out of that? Did you have a particular goal and you didn't think, well, if this doesn't work out, then I guess I'll just stay where I am?
No, no, but no, that's for sure. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
But also, I was in survivor mode for a
Mm-hmm.
long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's hard to think of goals when you're just trying to survive every day.
Mm.
So it's just trying to make it another day, trying to make it another day. Even in sobriety, one day at a time, and so part of that is survivorship, and then all of a sudden, once you get through that, then you can start looking at goals and achieving goals, and as I got more self esteem
Mm.
and started to become good at certain things, then I thought, wow, I could really do this. I mean, I could be the number one salesperson in the company. I could be a good leader. I could be a CEO.
Mm.
And then it was just a matter of following through and you know just perseverance.
Yeah, I think,
That's
and that's a good point to bring up, just because I didn't even consider that when you're in kind of like those low states, um, it is a matter of just taking things like one small step at a time, because it's you can feel easily overwhelmed because, as you said earlier, all your energy is going into that, right? Like if you're a
yes.
drug addict, that's using up all your energy, and so sometimes to think your way out of it, you just don't have the energy to do that, like to see very far beyond that. So it's just like taking a small step because you're in that survival mode. That's a good point.
Yep. 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 All day long.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Roger, this has been a great conversation. Tell us where we can find you.
So my website is rogersmith.me. You can order my book, The Most Unlikely Leader, An Unbelievable Journey from GED to CEO. And my hope is that it would motivate you and inspire you. And if you're feeling stuck in your life, maybe show you some avenues to get unstuck. Because if I could do it, you could do it too.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. And I will say goodbye to you and our audience. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Bookish. And I look forward to next time when I talk to another fabulous author. And Roger, I'm not going to totally say goodbye to you. We're going to chat for a moment. But to our audience, bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.